Hello my friends, I'm Rich Larson and I'm the IRTC Tire Guy. Today we are here in Peach Valley, Colorado at Peach Valley OHV. This is an amazing park that's free. As long as you're registered in Colorado to ride, this was built by your registration money. This is amazing. I hope they do more of these around the United States. I'm hoping they do one in Utah. I want to help build it. And I figured what better way to show you guys how awesome this is and what your registration dollars can do by showing you guys some techniques on some of the different obstacles here. If you ever come out to Colorado and want to give these obstacles a try, it's amazing. They've built stuff from all different levels. You're able to hit the small stuff, get used to it, and work your way up to bigger and bigger and bigger. This is an amazing place to train. We're doing a little group lesson out here. Everybody's on a break right now, and I figured let's knock out this intro and show you guys some of the techniques that are required to ride some of these awesome obstacles. So yeah, let's get right into it. All right guys, we are on to our first obstacle. This is awesome. They've set this up as a beginner, medium, and advanced technique here. The beauty of this is it's very similar. Whether you're doing the simple technique, the medium, or the large technique, it's all going to be very similar. Now, we did some videos on acceleration and deceleration and how we approach those first obstacles. You can check them out right here. That is going to help you guys get dialed in for this obstacle here in Peach Valley. Now, what you're going to see me do is I'm going to drive into this obstacle in that center ready position. So I'm on the balls of my feet, my hips are back, and I'm in that centered, ready to attack position. My knees are behind my toes. As my front tire drives into the obstacle, I drive my weight forward through. I drive my knees back, my hips stay hinged. So I'm centered, ready. As my front tire drives into the obstacle, you're gonna see I stand up through the bike, driving those knees back, holding those knees back. My elbows are high, keeping that nice straight head, shoulders, and back. Nice straight line in my torso. We don't wanna be driving forward here with our hips. We wanna keep in that hinged position, standing through the machine. You're going to see that same approach on each one of these obstacles. Same approach. As I drive through the obstacle, I stand up. As I'm at the top of the obstacle, you're going to see my front tire drop. As that front tire drops, I'm standing straight. I have the ability, because I'm forward, to move back over the rear tire. That counteraction back and forth is what we're looking for. It's the same in acceleration and deceleration, same when you hit a jump. It's the same thing when you hit one of these obstacles. That movement back and forth is what we're looking for, and that's what I'm going to show you here. Now, on the bigger obstacle, we're going to come into it with a little bit more power. You're going to see I'm going to try to deliver the power on each of these obstacles before the obstacle. We don't want to be delivering the power here. That's where the tire is going to spin, especially if these logs were slick. It'd be much more challenging, right? We need to understand delivering the power before the obstacle is going to be key up over the top. You're just going to see the same thing as the front tire drives up. I drop those heels, knees come back, hips are back, straight through the obstacle. I drive back with my hips, coming back down to counteract that front end. So I might as well go right at it. As I was saying, centered position, you can see nice straight back, controlled centered position. My knees are back, my knees are behind my toes, my hips are back, elbows up, nice and smooth. As my front tire drives into the obstacle, I stand up straight. Here we go, and back again. You can see, very simple here, but it's amazing how many riders struggle with that movement. Centered, drive forward, back. That's what we're looking for. Now, as I set up for the medium obstacle, same thing. Centered position, I drive forward, back. You can see that movement through the obstacle is what we're looking for. Forward, back. Standing up straight through that bike. Now, as we start to get into the bigger obstacle, you can see I have to load the engine a little bit more coming into the obstacle and really drive that weight forward. Same body position though, centered. See that same movement on that obstacle, center position, back, forward and back, forward and back. Every time, that's what we're looking for. Nice and smooth, controlled, forward, back. Counteracting that machine. This is a great obstacle to practice that movement on. That's what we're looking for to get dialed in. This is a perfect place to do it. Now, let's move on to the next obstacle. All right, guys, we are on to the next obstacle here. This is a matrix. Now, as you can see here, again, we have 3 different levels of difficulty. That's why this place is so awesome. That's why I'm so stoked about it. I wanted to show it to you guys. We have essentially 4 logs really spread out. This is going to be great for beginners. You're going to see that same approach. Centered position, forward, back, as I hit these simpler sections. The first section, the medium section, same kind of approach. This is a good one here for maybe single, double. You can start to get comfortable with that snap up over the obstacle, getting used to that pop, that drive, trying to get good at jumping logs. What you'll see, again, I hate to go back to it, but it's the same technique. We're in a centered position. You'll see as my front tire drives into the obstacle, drives up the face of the log, I drop those heels, my knees come back, I'm snapping down, bop, through that machine, driving my weight forward, leading with my head off the face of these doubles. So you're gonna see that as I kind of progress through here. And they actually did a great job building a pretty tough little matrix here. This section is pretty good. You're gonna see me really trying to hold momentum through this section. I'm gonna come in right here, and I'm gonna try to drive my front all the way to that 3rd log. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna drive it to the 3rd log, try to get suspension compression off the 3rd log, driving me to the 4th log. One big thing about the matrix, I don't wanna go too crazy in depth on it, but one big part of the matrix is trying to minimize how much your bike is moving up and down. If you're getting a lot of suspension compression and rebound and that bike's really doing this a lot, every time that gets worse and worse and worse. That exacerbates the issue, right? You're driving into the obstacle, it's compressing, then it's rebounding, it's getting higher up into the air. The higher into the air it goes, the more it's going to compress into the next obstacle, and worse and worse and worse until failure, right? So I'm always trying to keep my bike on an even plane through these obstacles. The way that we do that is very smooth delivery of power with the clutch. We're trying to maintain that centered position, balls of our feet on the bike, and you're gonna see this is a good section for practice. Again, this is one of those things I think a lot of riders will struggle with, and I'll kind of show you a couple different ways to do it. So let's jump right into it. With the first obstacle, you're gonna see that same body position that we were talking about. All right, centered position on the bike. We're gonna do the beginner line. Notice where I am, hips back. See that movement, driving through the machine. Every time, get used to this movement. These are pretty small logs. Those are pretty small logs to be doing that on. But still, I like to exaggerate that stuff, especially for the beginner riders. Exaggerating that stuff is gonna make a difference in your control. Centered position. We're always trying to maintain and deliver power before the obstacle. Nice and centered, smooth, back. See that drive through my knees. Back, we can also practice doubling there. Getting a little bit more load on the engine. That's what we're looking for in control. That drive through, just like that. Now I'm gonna tire tap through this. You can see that same movement. See that drive, that movement, that control. Even plane. Trying to keep that bike steady. You guys can see there, each time I come through these obstacles, I'm trying to maximize that movement through my knees and through my hips. My hips are back, centered, we go back. That's what we're looking for. I am exaggerating right now to try to really show you guys that movement, but notice the same movement when I snap through and double. That same drive, that same movement is present when I double through that. You can see whenever I drive into the obstacle, I drop my heels and I try to get snap. I'm driving through the pegs to initiate more lift. You can see that drive. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to focus on keeping that bike on an even plane through this technical little section. This is a good little matrix. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to practice on. And yeah, man, I think this is a great section for when you get out into those situations, getting comfortable with those small log crossings. Again, I was kind of exaggerating that movement, but I want you guys to see what we're looking for back and forth in relation to the machine. Let's move on to the next section. All right, guys, we are on to the next section. This is a really cool little feature that they have here. We've kind of got an easy, medium, and more advanced line. A little bit of a side hill action here. The understanding of control and kind of working your way up through these obstacles is going to be key here. You know, you don't want to jump right into the advanced line, but each one of these has their own little characteristic to it. We're really just trying to focus on that centered, balanced position. Often we get into trail riding situations and we find a lack in balance. Riders really struggle to keep those feet on the pegs, stay in that proper position. If you can keep your feet on the pegs, stay above the machine, you can move twice as much, right? If I'm off the pegs with both feet, I can't really move on the machine. I'm just kind of stuck, glued to the bike. In my opinion, the bike's riding you at that situation, right? So our goal is to practice staying on the pegs as much as we can. Each one of these sections, from the more advanced, these two I would say are kind of the more advanced sections, to the medium section, that's going to be the key piece. We're trying to stay on those pegs in a centered position on the machine. Now, this is kind of the main part here. You're gonna see me holding pressure, nice smooth power delivery. I'm not overproducing on power. I really wanna keep that bike down in the low RPMs, allowing it to kind of chug and track through this section. As I kind of work up through, there's bike lengths in between. So I'm gonna come up each obstacle and kind of use my front tire landing close to the next obstacle as suspension compression, allowing me to get that lift coming up each obstacle. Then we have some nice side hill. This is a good place to practice your side hill. You can kind of work that high front tire. We've done some videos on that. Regardless, the goal in this section should be keeping our feet on the pegs the entire time. So I'm just gonna jump right in to the more advanced top two lines. And we'll take the top one first, and then I'll kind of show you the bottom one. We'll break them down for you. So, again, nice, smooth control, centered position on the machine, little throttle. You can hear I'm not using a lot of power. Of course, that's a little floater. A lot of balance here, right? Let's take the high line. Little off camber log, we run the front tire high. Keeping those feet on the pegs through the section. Little downhill action, hips back. You can see there, the main point of that is I'm not using a lot of power. My bike's very low. If you're over revving through this stuff, it's gonna be quite a challenge. Always think about delivering the power before the obstacle. So you can see, I deliver the power before each step, not on each step. That's a challenging thing for a lot of riders. Learning how to get that load of power before the obstacle comes from fundamental practice and fundamental control. Now, I'm gonna do that second line because it's a little bit of a gap. Kind of challenging. Okay, here we go. Center line, nice and smooth. Low power. Oh, I overshot it. I forgot where I was. Not bad practice though. Good stuff. Ooh, this exit is pretty gnar. Little downhill rock there. You can see that's a pretty tight line. Takes quite a bit of balance to control that bike, and actually I overshot the top section, so I'm gonna try it again. Nice and smooth. Woo! That's almost harder than the top line. This downhill rock's nice too. Slow control. A lot of body position on that. You can see how much adjustment, movement back and forth is needed for this section. This is really fun. You could play on this stuff all day. It's a lot of fun. Let's show you two more. Follow me right over here. All right, guys, as you can see, we've got 3 nice logs here to practice that double blip technique. Now, we've gone over the double blip over and over on the channel. There's a few key pieces, and one of them is getting your clutch up dialed. You can check out the reason why you can't double blip right here. And a big piece of that reason is your clutch up ability. We need to understand how to find that suspension compression rebound, snap with our hips back, load of engine all together to find that efficiency. Right? We're also using a dispersing power. Right? So as I drive that weight forward to get that suspension compression, I come on with the power. As I snap my hips back with the rebound of the suspension, I reduce the throttle and release the clutch. We are using a dispersing power of power delivery. Here we are, drive forward. You can hear that sound, yacht, yacht. That's what we're looking for when we practice our double blips. Now, as you can see, that small log, it's almost a little too small, but it's a decent starting point. We have this second log. This is a great one. Trying to get that front tire up early with that clutch up, and then a nice smooth delivery of power on the second blip. You can hear I do 1, 2 into the obstacle. I'll call them out. Here we go. 1, 2. As I snap my hips back for the clutch up, I reduce the throttle and the clutch comes back in. That clutch coming back in, I then increase the throttle, loading the engine for the second blip, release and reduce again to hold traction up over the top. I know there's a lot of steps, and I'm actually cutting a lot of the steps out. There's a lot more to be said about it, but we've done this kind of stuff on the channel. You can check back, watch the older videos. Also, I think I'll be doing like the most in-depth double blip breakdown because everybody wants to learn it coming up here soon on the channel. Stay tuned for that. So let's talk about the big log. The big log's gnarly because there's no backside. We have to be able to hold pressure over the top of the obstacle. So you're gonna see same lift, clutch up, drive into the obstacle. I need a lot of suspension compression into the obstacle to then rebound back into my body and allow that drive forward, that same acceleration, deceleration position, that drive forward in front of the machine to then counteract the bike as the front tire drops. If I'm further forward, I have the ability to drive my weight further back and hold more traction on top of the obstacle. That's where holding pressure becomes extremely important. And this is one of those obstacles where holding pressure is important because, again, it doesn't have a backside. So you really have to be focused on control and tractable control over the top. So I'll show you. Listen to where the power is delivered. Again, it's always delivered before the obstacle. I love logs like this. This is awesome. Nice big log here to practice on. Hard drive, back, forward, back. Here we go. Just like that. You guys notice the hips? Forward, back, forward, back. I drive forward to get suspension compression to initiate the clutch up. Forward, back, forward, back. Here we go. One more time. I'll call them out. Forward, back, forward, back. There we go. It's kind of challenging to call those out while I'm doing that. That's the main line. Super, super solid log to be practicing on. I love that. That's a nice big obstacle. I got to do the biggest side of it. Notice how I'm always trying to collect my power. There's power delivery before the obstacle. I try to collect my power quickly to hold traction over the top. Watch the rear tire. Hopefully it doesn't spin. Nice. That felt pretty good. That's a lot of fun. That kind of an obstacle I could do all day. And there's all kinds of fun stuff out here. We've got different sections, different approaches. There's a few boulders, few pivot turn corners that would be solid to practice on. There's all kinds of stuff to do out here. And the cool thing about it is it's all paid for by your registration in Colorado, which is really cool. I'm stoked about this kind of stuff. I love seeing obstacles. I hope that it gets put to use. It looks like it does. And yeah, I hope to see more of these around the United States. I have a lot of fun traveling around, and man, it'd be great to be able to come out here and do some lessons and teach some people how to drive through this stuff, how to handle these obstacles. Thank you guys so much for watching the channel. If you're enjoying the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRTC Moto, my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.